This is Sean.
This is Kevin.
And this is the One Other Thing. And, I'm truly excited about today's show because this is the one where we're going through the top 10 games for you personally, that it meant something to you. We're doing that. We each made a list, and we're also doing the top 10 games if you were like trapped on a desert island. You can only play 10 games the rest of your life.
And we have high-speed internet and
and full electricity, shelter,
yes.
AC.
Yes.
We got all the
Whole
perks.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all the Gatorade you can drink. But before we get into any of those, you know what's coming, don't you, folks? I'm going to throw it out there, Kevin. How do they contact us?
Oh, easy. You can start with emailing us at tootcast.net. You can hit us up on our website at tootcast.net. You can we have a Facebook page, Tootcast. You can go to our Twitter account and yell at us there too, at Tootcast.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you, sir, as always, for maintaining all that, all the efforts there. And again, folks, we love all the support, love hearing from all of you. So please don't hesitate. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you think about really any of it. Yes. So without further ado, though, let's start with the top 10 games that meant something to you personally, and we're going to do these in reverse order, trying to kind of make it a climactic thing.
Dun,
so,
dun, dun.
That being said, Kevin, you want to go first? Or you want me to? I don't care.
I guess I can go first.
You know what? Actually, before we do that,
yes.
let's throw a few disclaimers out there.
Yes.
Sorry, I wanted to throw a few disclaimers out there, and I think you feel the same way. But my list is wrong, and I largely hate it, and I mean that for both lists. I have no idea what I've forgotten.
Yes.
But I'm certain that somebody, will either bring something up and say, what about this? And I'm going to be like, my God, they're right.
Yeah.
Likewise, this list is good for in fact, by the time this posts, this list will be outdated. So I'm throwing out the right to, reserving the right to change it.
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 isn't out yet, which could totally change my list.
Precisely, yeah. I don't know what I don't know.
Yes, so as of now, this is my list of 10 personal games that really meant something to me over my lifetime. And this is any system, any console, any, glorious PC, anything. Anything
you had. So that's great. So, all right then, without further ado, Kevin, what's your number 10?
Number 10, personal games. I had to go put in my Wayback hat. I did not grow up with consoles for the majority of my childhood. My older brother had a Sega, so I didn't really get any of those games. I played a couple of Nintendo games, didn't really get into those. I had a Commodore 64.
That's awesome.
And this is the era, and I argue with anybody. There was a period of time for like 5 years that the IBM compatible PC couldn't even touch the Commodore 64. It wasn't until they started putting upgrades into the PC before it got, it didn't even have a sound card when the IBM compatible PC came out.
I remember.
And you had so many voices and audio in the Commodore 64, there was no touching it. It was 10 times better games.
And not to mention, even when PC did get there, it was kind of a pain in the ass.
It was. But because you could upgrade an IBM PC, the Commodore 64 couldn't keep up, unfortunately.
What was the palette on a Commodore 64? I can't remember because...
It's 256 colors.
Nice, okay.
And the voices were also simultaneous voice. I forget how many it was. It was like 16 or 20. It was a lot of voices it could do at once. It had a great audio SID chip. I know somebody who's going to really know Commodore 64s and say I'm wrong with these things, but I know that it had like really good, people actually use this for music, to make music back then too.
Yeah.
So and the IBM computer still had PC speaker then at this time.
Well, I remember PC speaker. I remember before VGA there was CGA.
CGA.
And which was awful.
Yeah,
I mean,
a couple colors.
Don't get me wrong. It was like, I want to say it was 6 colors.
Yeah, and mostly pink.
It
from
was
what
brutal,
I remember. Yeah,
but nonetheless, we all cheered at CGA because it was monochrome before that, or text. So hooray for CGA! But then, it wasn't until VGA that we're like, oh, there's other colors.
Yes, and at the time when so there was games released on the PC at the same time as Commodore 64, but trust me, there's no point in playing the PC versions. Commodore 64, hands down the best. I have a Commodore 64. I haven't plugged into the back room emulator that legal. It's an emulator that Shirley's got me for Christmas. I've yet to play it. And I need to play it because unfortunately, it's not a real keyboard, which takes away some of the charm. Okay. They have since realized that people wants the real. So there is actually another one I want now.
Okay.
That is actually the real old keyboard.
So it's one of those built-in systems where like they're doing it with everything nowadays. The Nintendo, the Sega, where it's like here's a little box. It's probably a Raspberry Pi running the thing. To be honest with you, here's a little box, and it's got
Yeah.
50 games built into it or what have you.
And this one, you can actually load more games into it. So
That's even better.
the built-in emulator is pretty good. I got to try at some point because it does have a lot of good games on it, but you can add more.
I didn't have a 64, but I played people I knew had a 64, so I started playing games on it. It was awesome.
It's
I'm dying.
yeah. So it's
what's
still
the
it's
game?
still in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most games released for a system.
Yeah.
So it was so I will give you kind of like a little hint. I have a lot of Commodore 64 games that meant a lot to me growing up.
Okay.
So this is number 10. Number 10, I really enjoyed the Gold Box SSI games,
Without doubt.
but they weren't my favorite SSI game. There was another RPG that came out, Buck Rogers, Countdown to Doomsday.
Oh.
That
Have
Blue
you
Box.
actually played that game?
Yeah, I beat it. When I was a
that's
kid, I beat that game.
fantastic.
That's my favorite. So yes, it beats out the Gold Box games in my heart because I'm more of
Yeah.
a sci-fi guy.
I agree with that myself, actually.
But and in fact, all the screenshots that you see here that nobody can see out there, these are the Commodore 64 version, the exact Commodore 64 version of the game. In fact, well, that box is Amiga, but it's the same box for the Commodore 64. But yeah, that's what it looked like. Basically, it's Gold Box games,
It's
but
Gold
with
Box
laser.
Engine with. I entirely have played
Yeah.
this game. I have not beaten it.
I love it.
This one was kind of tough because you had to do something right in the beginning because there was a timer. I can barely
Yeah,
remember it, or you
you had to get off a ship in the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah, I remember
And
it very
I
well.
struggled with that, but it's Gold Box Engine.
Yep.
And to your point, it's sci-fi.
Yeah, it's my kind of game.
Hooray! You do know and I don't know if you ever played it. There's a sequel.
I've heard of the sequel, but I never played it.
Matrix Cube, it's called.
Yeah.
Why do I know this?
Yeah, I never played it, unfortunately.
But and you're of the same age.
Yeah.
Buck Rogers. I mean.
I love myself Buck Rogers.
Yeah, I love Buck Rogers. Seriously.
Yeah. I still remember the intro of the first season of Buck Rogers where they're like zooming in, you can see the Earth as it's aging with the circles. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
God, I love Buck Rogers.
So, what was it? I mean, the sci-fi aspect, obviously, but what was it about this game that you loved?
This was the first game where I spent 50, 60 hours playing.
Nice.
Yeah, up until then, it was all the Pac-Man style, the quick games, really nothing to them, no point, mostly high scores. And then I put this game and I'm like, oh, this is going to take a while.
Yeah.
And I played it all the way through and I'm like, I loved every second of it. Every second of
I
it.
fully agree because Gold Box or Buck Rogers, same engine. You've got the same rudimentary graphics that were so awesome, though.
Yeah.
And
2 moves, standing still and casting or shooting.
yeah,
that's
pretty much
yeah.
exactly, and that's all you needed. But you could customize pretty much every part of it.
Yeah.
And it was, to me, that blew my mind at the time. But to your point, you invest so much in first creating your guys.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you take a good half an hour to an hour just. At least me, just creating my team.
Yeah, because it's an RPG. You had to create and get stats and all that stuff.
Yeah,
for
it
this.
took a while, yeah. And then again, customizing what their animation looks like.
Yeah.
But by the time you get far in the game, you are invested in these pixels.
Yeah.
Like they're your people.
I know. I just So I played this before all the Bard's Tales and all those other games. So this game was the first real game I played. That was a real game that had a story. You can get into the characters and play all the way through. And I'm like, oh yeah.
I find it hysterical that that's what you picked for number 10.
That's what got me into the games. Yeah.
My number 10 is very different than yours.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah.
But yet, it's for the same reasons in a lot of ways. I did not own a 64, but I owned it. Well, I owned a Nintendo 64, but
Yes.
Not a Commodore 64.
Yeah, this is 64-bit versus 64 megs.
Yeah, exactly. I did own a Nintendo,
or 64K,
though,
sorry.
and I did save up for that Nintendo, and that was a real achievement for me getting my Nintendo, and played a game on that. I got a game on that called Dragon Warrior, which was my first real foray into what I'd call an RPG grinder,
Yeah.
where you just go and you fight the same monster 50 times, and then you get a level, and now all of a sudden you have some new skill or ability, and you can go to some place you couldn't before because everything was just kicking your ass. It's near and dear to my heart now. When I got the Switch, one of the first things I did was buy Dragon Quest, which is just a remake of Dragon Warrior. It literally plays the same way. And of course I beat that, entirely. In fact, I love that game so much. I actually have a save game file, and I don't know why I even did this, but all I did was I started the game, and I said, what would it be like if I just maxed out my level but didn't actually do anything? And it only goes to level 30 because it was very early game. You know, the graphics are atrocious. Like, you literally can't even walk upstairs. You have to go stand over the stairs and then choose stairs from a dialog box. Things like that. So right now I have a save file on my Switch of a level 30 guy who literally hasn't done anything. So he's fully max level, but he hasn't done a single quest. So it's just completely overpowered, all from just grinding. But that was, my first foray into what you were talking about, a game where you are committing a large amount of time to it, and you feel like you've accomplished something.
Yes.
Even though, basically you've been sitting on your ass for the last 8 hours. But nonetheless,
yes.
You have this emotional commitment. So, it's, and again, when you beat Dragon Warrior, you're just like, yes, I accomplished something. Oh, look at my people. They're so happy with me. So, it's funny. Different systems.
Yeah.
Almost the same motives, though.
Yes, that's fascinating, actually.
It is. It is. So, all right. Well, now, number 9. I'm loving this.
Number 9, all right.
I'm really loving this.
Number 9 is, and I'll know as soon as I say it, it is Maniac Mansion.
Good choice.
Commodore 64 version as well, because there was an Amiga version, which was better, and there's also a PC version, but this was, someday you should get a YouTube video of the PC version versus the Commodore 64, and this was PC speaker only. Okay. And EGA. Yeah. On the PC.
EGA was brutal, yeah.
It was brutal. The Maniac Mansion for the
I played it too, by the way. On the computer, and
Oh.
The EGA version.
Oh, yeah, it's tough. And
Yep.
and these you can play in the Scum Engine now. I own the games.
Great games. Really enjoyed the Maniac Mansion.
Really enjoy it. I like the fact that, you can use every pair of kids can complete the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember exactly, I played Bernard, and I forget the other kid, the photographer.
It's been a while for me.
Yeah, I forget the kid,
I do
the
remember
photographer's name. Bernard with the glasses. So I know exactly to this day, this is pre-guides, no Prima guides. You had to figure out how to beat the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the whole, crash land meteorite that had a personality and the tentacles, and it was just a fun game. And this is the first game that introduced me to LucasArts.
Yep, of course.
And I really enjoy that play style.
I presume you played Day of the Tentacle.
Day of the Tentacle, yeah, which
absolutely.
ended up being a real cartoon, a spin-off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Day of the Tentacle became a cartoon.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, so
Great games, though.
Oh yeah, I celebrate all of LucasArts.
I have to admit that I do as well. I salute them.
So I remember this game. You load the game in there, and it would load for Commodore 64. Was a 5 1/4 diskette. You put it in there. You waited 10-15 minutes.
Nice.
Then it would tell you to flip it over,
Nice,
and then the game would start. And I still think this is superior to the Amiga version, even though the Amiga version has slightly better graphics. The intro was better in the Commodore 64. Because the intro in the Commodore 64 was a scroll, left to right to scroll, that said Maniac Mansion across. Awesome music, too.
Okay.
And then a chainsaw with, blood at the end of it. And then in the Amiga version, instead of that, it was just this Maniac Mansion title just appeared on the screen with some purple blood, and the chainsaw just sat there, nothing.
Okay.
I'm like...
So it was edited in some way.
Yeah, it was way less interesting.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Even though slightly better graphics, it was way less interesting. So I celebrate, and I have played this since then, and this is on the Commodore 64 official emulator.
Haven't they done a remake of the OG one, though? Just better enhanced graphics, kind of? Or was it a whole different game? I can't...
No, they did a enhanced version of this game.
That's what I thought.
They also enhanced the Zack McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders.
I know of them. I never played them.
That one is a little crazy. I think I like the sense of humor better in this one than Zack McCracken. Zack McCracken actually watched a long play of it 2 months ago.
Okay.
Because it's a weird, you go to Mars and way sci-fi. But this one's a little smaller and more intimate, and I don't know, I like the way, I still remember to get the key from the chandelier. You gotta put, turn the radio at a certain frequency, though it shatters the chandelier, it crashes, you grab the key. I just remember all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I played this so much.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. From what? Was this 1989 or 88? I forget when this came out.
I said it just because I knew it set you off.
But I can't recommend Maniac Mansion enough. It was quirky humor. He had a hamster. The one guy had a hamster in his bedroom that he got mad if you put in the microwave, which you can do. It's just an odd game.
I remember it being enjoyable, though.
Yeah.
I did beat it as well, and I did enjoy the game. And I do want to say I beat it a few times because I think, to your point, you want to try it with different characters.
Different characters because there's different ways of winning the game and different endings. And yeah, you can put the meteorite in the car, in the trunk of a car, in Edsel, and just shoot up out into space. Or you can make the meteorite police show up and take the meteor away. It was just like, there's so many different. It was just a blast.
Oh, without
funny.
a doubt, yeah. It did have good comedy in it.
I did enjoy it. So yes, so this is near and dear to me. Is one of my personal favorite games. It's probably my favorite LucasArts game of my life.
You know, it's funny because I grew up with the text adventures. I played
Yep.
the Zorks and the others.
Yep.
And then, honestly, I was mostly Sierra games. I had a lot of Sierra
I
games.
do like
which
those.
were fucking unforgiving.
They were hard. That's the
They're
thing.
just mean.
Yeah.
But,
Sierra Online.
you know, despite the fact that I was playing those, the Nintendo was just a different thing for me at the
Yeah.
time. You know, it was just unbelievable. And that number 9 is a Nintendo once again, and that would be the OG Zelda, the first action RPG. First time I was really playing a game that had, I mean, Dragon Warrior had puzzles, but frankly, they're just super easy to figure out. Zelda had mystery to it. It had puzzles that, I'll say, they weren't necessarily readily, they just weren't blatantly obvious. You had to do a little bit of thinking. I mean, I'm not saying they're hard by any standard, but it was really something I hadn't come across before.
Yeah, I saw the playthroughs and I'm like, how'd you figure that out? I'm thinking to myself when I'm watching this.
Oh yeah, like playing the flute in the right screen to get rid of the water in the lay. Like just you just, that's the thing. At that point, you know, I think I said in an earlier episode, there's not a pixel of that freaking game I've not bombed. But you just tried shit, and then sooner or later something worked, and that was the magic of it.
Yeah.
When it did, you're just like, you know, and that feeling of mystery and like, ooh, I just discovered something. It was great. And you know, once again, it's Link, it's Nintendo, it's got this adorable factor to it, even though you die and you rage quit some games. You know, I don't think I've ever rage quit Zelda, but it will hand you your ass.
Yeah.
But at the same token, everything's kind of adorable, you know, so the scary monsters aren't at all scary. But to this day, you know, again, mentioned it in a previous episode, great game. If you haven't actually played that, I seriously recommend it.
I think you play on the Switch now.
It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, you have to think about when it's from and whatnot.
Yeah.
But Zelda, for sure, great game. Absolutely loved it. And again, if you play through it and you beat it, play through it again, because it's just a different experience. It really is.
If I had a Nintendo, yes, that would have been one of the games I'd play. That's definitely my speed.
Yep. So that, again, it just, for me, it was great. And I actually remember, can I say my father's a douche? I just did. I should.
Yeah.
Well,
Can I say that about mine?
Sure, why not? But apparently I can say that on my show.
Yeah.
Or on a
No,
show.
that can't be, because douches are useful.
That's fantastic. For whatever reason, my father played the Zelda game, and he'd said to me something to the effect of, you know, encouraging, loving words of, you know, oh, this requires you to solve puzzles and think, so I'm definitely going to beat it before you. And that was it. It was just like game on.
Yes.
Like, dude, I'm a kid. I don't work for a living. Like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I crushed it weeks before he figured out even how to get to stuff. He ended up asking me stuff, and of course, me being a little prick, I wouldn't tell him right away because I'm like that.
Oh, are you sure you wouldn't tell him, or were you tell him in the wrong room to bomb every corner?
I should have. No, I just wouldn't tell him for a little while because of that pep talk. But yeah, it was game on.
Game on like Donkey Kong.
So, but really good game. Really enjoyed it, and you know, obviously it's the introduction to Zelda, and I think I said previously, you can't really go wrong with the Zelda game.
No, I agree.
So what do you got for number 8, my
Number
friend?
8. Spoiler, a lot of these were going to be Commodore 64 games. Number 8.
I will get past the Nintendo eventually.
I will eventually get past the Commodore 64. Impossible Mission. I believe I said this in a previous episode. This is the first game I played that had voice in it. It was... it would start in this one screen with a guy just standing in a hallway, and it goes, stay a while, stay forever, ha ha ha. And that's how the game would start. And this is back in like the 80s, or like... Did that game just talk to me?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a platformer. You collect it, basically. You try to avoid these robots trying to kill you.
Of course.
You go up and down elevators, and the whole goal is to get to every room, and every room is different. and they can be hard to get through. Some robots chase you. Some robots zap you with lasers.
Yeah.
Some just like run away from you. So they're all different.
It's a puzzle platformer kind of thing.
And then after you hit all the objects in the game, then you get these puzzle pieces, and you collect 4 puzzle pieces, and you try to figure out what orientation they need to be in to complete the image. And it just like filled in all the spots, but it's not as hard as it sounds. It really was pretty easy to say, oh, this one looks like it's cut in the middle of the screen, so I need a piece that kind of is the opposite.
Okay.
So you just kind of put them all together, and it gives you a password at the end. So you take the password to a room, you open it up, you win the game.
That's awesome.
That's it. And I don't know why, but I just loved it. They made a sequel. It's by a company called Epix, which back in the day, Epix was the shit. Yes.
Oh,
they were the shit. They made controllers, all the World games, California games. They were a great company. So Epix was one of my favorite game companies.
Sure.
And Impossible Mission was just mindless fun.
I've never played it, but I know of it because it is. It does have such a big following, a cult following, because it was such a great game for so many people.
Yeah, you jump, you flip, you have a computer terminal that you can freeze the robots you can collect, or you can reset the platforms, because sometimes you can screw yourself with the platform's the wrong spot, and you die.
Nice.
And when he dies, he goes, no!
Oh, that's fantastic.
I was like, that's awesome. I'm like, this game's talking to me.
Yeah, and I know kids today are like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, again, where are your parents?
I know.
But, that was the thing, though. I mean, when games first started talking, it was just like, holy shit, this is so cool.
So I probably sunk as many hours in this game and played it over and over again than I did with the, Buck Rogers. So this was like, you didn't have to think about it much.
Yep.
It's more like skill.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed it. But then at the end, it you know me, it stood to me. They're like, you do all the skill, but then you got to solve a puzzle.
Sure. Yep.
And it's not a hard puzzle, but as a kid, I'm like, I'm a genius.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
I
You
felt
got
like
that. Once again, you got that sense of accomplishment. Like, look what I did.
Yeah, I know. But now I've played the game since then, specifically just to get to the puzzle, because I enjoy the puzzle. I think it's cool.
Nice.
I've never seen a game like it.
So it's not, in fact, impossible.
It's not. But there's a sequel to it I've never been able to beat, because as it turns out,
it is
impossible.
Okay, look at that.
It's way more difficult.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So highly recommend the game. Way before cheat codes, by the way.
This is actually my... Is this true? Yeah, this is my last Nintendo one.
Oh, okay.
So we're moving past that after this one. But number 8 for me would be the OG Final Fantasy. The very first.
Oh, okay.
Is
it because I read some history of like Final Fantasies, the first few Japanese might number some differently than the US versions. Was there anything like that, or is this like the final? Because I read somewhere that like 2, 3, 4 was weird numbering.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Because Japan gets different games than we do in a lot of cases. So like Dragon Warrior, again, it was known by Dragon Quest in I think every market other than the US. But by the time we got Dragon Warrior 2, I'm not kidding, they were on like Dragon Warrior 15 or Dragon Quest 15.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like crazy. But,
so was this Final Fantasy the OG for everybody, the whole world?
For the U.S.,
for the
I would
US.
say.
Okay.
So the rest of the world, once again, dumb American here, raising my hand.
Yeah.
I can only speak from a U.S. perspective. So I do believe this was, it was Nintendo of America. So it's that version, but again, I don't know different releases, what differences we saw.
It was before the PlayStation stole the Final Fantasy series.
Yeah, before it landed there. And I didn't actually have it. A friend of mine had it at first. And he was doing a battle, and one of his characters got poisoned or something, and they kind of have a different animation where they hunch over, and I'm like, oh, one of your guys is sad, because he just looked sad to me all of a sudden. Yeah. And he just explained this whole system to me, where it was basically Dragon Warrior, but now you got a party. And that intrigued me, and I was just like, oh, this is great. And, of course, they had different character types. So you could have 4 people in your party, and I think they had 6 or 7 different character types. So right off the bat, you're like, oh, what do those other character types do? So you had reason to kind of experiment and play. And, I mean, it was a grinder. It was a Final Fantasy, so it was big. There was a lot to it, a lot of grinding, but... I enjoyed those games. I don't know why. I cannot explain it, but...
I like grinding games.
Loved it. So, and they actually did a remake on the Game Boy Advance, I know, and I'd had that at the time, so I think somewhere in my house I probably still do. But that was well, I played that, and that was worth it. Just worth the price of admission. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So that's my number 8, and that brings us to the end of my Nintendo ones, at least.
Okay.
So, what do you got for number 7?
Number 7 is a movie tie-in.
Okay.
Also on the Commodore 64, and Commodore 64 did a great job on the music. Sounded just like the movie, but
Ghostbusters.
you're close. Goonies.
Oh, okay.
They actually, I believe, I could be wrong. It's 1985. I believe they had a scene in the game that was a deleted scene from the movie where you fought an octopus.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So you have to fight an octopus in the game, and I played this game over and over again.
I had actually played a Goonies game on the Nintendo.
I believe they were different.
Okay.
I believe the Goonies, the game, this was a different game. This was...
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I didn't completely hate it.
Oh, okay. That's actually high praise.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Yes.
it wasn't a bad game. I'll say that.
But this one, you control 2 characters at each given moment.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't think that
So
was the
Chunky had to
Nintendo
go and knock the water bottle over, which got the mother chasing after the, no, you knocked the water bottle to get down the basement, but then Chunk opened the money machine on the top floor. It would shoot the fake money down below. The mother would go chase after it. Then you have to run and get down to the hole, and that's what it was. It was you had a time. You had to get through it really quickly. I don't know. I just liked it. And at the end, the game ends with a giant pirate ship. And as a child, you're like, I love the movie. And this game ends the same as the movie with you're on the pirate ship. You got to solve a little kind of like, it's not really a puzzle. You just got to do things in the right order.
Yep.
And I'm like, and the music it's a synthesized version of the Cyndi Lauper song.
Is this and this is 64 again? So do you know if
Commodore
this
64.
is on your?
I don't know if it's on there. I'll take a look at it. But
I'm surprised you're not playing it now. You love the Goonies.
I love the Goonies. The movie, I celebrate. I've seen it a dozen times, if not more. And I get nostalgic. When you launch this game, look it up on YouTube sometime. The music, it's like, it's the song.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And I just love it. And same company, Datasoft, put out 3 games on the Commodore 64 that I know of that I loved. Goonies was one, Zorro was another, and one called Conan.
Okay,
They
so
looked
they seem to
identical.
have the movie themes.
They had some movie themes.
They
and
looked identical. That's great.
they pretty much looked identical. They're slightly different. They just changed the music and kind of like what the actions were, but they're pretty much the same game.
That's great. Yeah.
So yeah, you even had the underground scene with the pipes where you're with Sloth and you're just knocking. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's this whole scene that you're doing that in the game.
That's great.
I love the movie tie-in. So this means a lot to me because I played the game a lot and I love the movie.
That's fantastic. And 64, man. Yeah, I get it. You get a good system, and it becomes a piece of you.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, from these screenshots, you can tell they're very reminiscent of the original NES as far as graphics go.
I'm jumping, and I'm not necessarily jumping in chronological order. Is actually similar to one of yours, and that would be the OG Pools of Radiance.
Ah,
I had to get a Gold Box game on there.
I did like that game.
It's again, it wasn't the sci-fi universe, but same engine, same things you loved about Buck is what I loved about Pools of Radiance. I loved the customization. I loved, what I loved actually about Pools of Radiance and that Buck did not have is I am a nerd. I had read the first edition D&D rules. Might have been second edition. Been a while. Been
I
many
forget
years.
what edition. Yeah.
So I knew the rules to D&D. And, of course, the Gold Box game followed them, so I could keep up, and it just made sense. Everything made sense to me. And it was absolutely fantastic. It was just a great game. I mean, I loved everything about it. Loved building my characters, loved understanding the mechanics of it all. For me, that's what did it, because, it was an RPG, but there was all the math behind it. And loved that. Loved understanding how that all worked,
Yeah, the Curse of the Azure Bonds was the first one of the Gold Box I ever played for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
So the story there is one that first hooked me. Of I wake up, I got the stuff on my arm, tattoos. How do I get rid of them?
I honestly think I probably like Curse of the Azure Bonds more than Pools of Radiance in a lot of ways. But Pools of Radiance again, it was kind of the first for me. It was something different. It's and that's what I was doing with this list. If I had to pick between the two, I might pick Curse of the Azure Bonds.
Well, that's not this list. This list is not your...
Exactly.
These games are personal games that really meant something to you.
Exactly. And at 29 minutes, I'm just going to throw it out there that there's no way we're doing 2 lists.
Well, yeah.
But we will do 2 lists, just
Yes.
not this episode.
No, Desert Island. But I think the Desert Island might go slightly quicker, but I could be wrong.
I think we forgot about the fact that we gab about every game there is.
Yes, this is true.
So that being said, though, so since we kind of already covered Buck, we kind of covered pools. Let's go to 6. What do you
Number
got?
6 is Sam and Max Hit the Road
I've
on
never played this.
DOS. Oh my god, it's a must play because obviously it's a DOS game, so this is way beyond Commodore 64. So I guess I'm done with my Commodore 64 games, but it had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
It had a graphic style that holds up.
I
It
know
holds
of
up.
Sam and Max. Like, I know who they are, and I even know how they speak, oddly enough.
Yeah, you got the crime dog, and you got the but. Hey, can I just chew his face off?
I want to
You
say
know,
one was in one of the poker games.
it was the bunny, Max.
That's what I thought.
He was. He's hilarious. He says just rude things. He wants to always punch you or rip your guts out. He's a weird partner in this crime duo. They actually released Telltale Games. Released a new version of Sam Max with a totally different story.
Okay.
So at episodic format. I have it all on Steam. So
Nice.
I purchased all that. Great, but the original game was just like awesome. They just go and find the world's largest ball of yarn, and it just
This was roughly the same time, I want to say, as Full Throttle.
yes, about the same time. I think early '90s.
Similar art style as well to me.
Yes.
Big fan of Full Throttle.
Full Throttle, yeah. I have a story that I got a lot of trouble on Full Throttle because I needed some RAM, but that's another story
Oh,
for
okay.
another time.
Yep.
But Sam and Max, yes, Full Throttle, I like it. It had some sense of humor in it. But this game is really my sense of humor because it's quirky as all hell.
Nice.
I'm
I'm gonna have to check this out because I mean it looks beautiful and I've known of it, but
you could throw in the Scum VM engine.
nice.
So I own a copy of this game.
Nice.
So it's just fun. Voice acted through the whole thing, it just well done. And yeah, they're trying to solve a crime and a giant Abraham Lincoln might be involved.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Not to give them a well, actually, I know from South Park how you kill a giant Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I don't know. I think South Park might owe this game some,
That's funny.
props.
Was it the same thing? They used a giant John Wilkes Booth
Yeah, they did.
because that's how you kill a giant Lincoln. Yeah, I mean
Yes.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So yes, Sam and Max Hit the Road, the original DOS version, but I do recommend the new version of Telltale Games, which is the same writer.
Okay.
Tim, I forget his last name, but yeah, it's the same writer who did these games and Full Throttle.
Well, again, I'm not working for them, but I've
Yeah.
got to think Good Old Games has a copy of this.
I bet you they do. I
They
bet
must.
you they do.
They simply must.
Yeah, So yeah, I like them, and yeah, they're just detectives. So,
I
highly
say
recommend
that
it.
because that is a good old game by definition.
Yeah, you can tell right here. Bosco's guns, liquor, and baby needs.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it has my humor. It
Yep.
just pre South Park, but as bad as South Park.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
You know what? I'm gonna add that to my ever-growing list here.
Yeah, I don't think this game is a terribly long game, but yeah,
I like that though. So that was your number 6, huh?
that was my number 6, and yeah, that was like, oh, games could be wrong. That's why I played this game. I'm like, yes, this hit my funny bone. And
Oh,
it was off color, and I'm like, oh, it's my game.
See, I'm not kidding. Leisure Suit Larry was like one of the first
Oh, yeah.
games I played that was actually in color.
Yeah.
And actually, I take that back. That might have been a CGA version we first played. But either way,
I think I have a copy of that in my Steam
I
library.
knew pretty early games could be wrong.
It was a little wrong, but enjoyable, and the bunny was a riot. Absolute riot.
Well, I'll have to check out Sam and Max, and that sounds like a recommendation to me. So,
Yes.
say everyone out there, give that a go if you haven't.
And your number 6, sir.
My number 6 is Heroes of Might and Magic 2.
2, not 3. That's
Well, it's interesting. I didn't go
Yeah.
with 3 because, well, I played 2 first.
Oh, okay.
Ironically, I didn't play the first one for quite some time, but and I'm glad. But 2 introduced me to that style of game, and it basically is a game that you will stay up all night saying just one more turn, because it's turn-based,
Yes.
and it just hooks you. And my wife used to play at times. I mean, and we'd get epic battles going with either each other or go out with I had friends I would play, and they were just like gigantic chess matches. I mean, a game would last days. I'm not even kidding, days. A week later, you're still playing the same freaking game, but you were so involved. So, and it's one of those games that your first couple, your first 50 turns take like 10 seconds. There's nothing to do. And then by turn 50, though, a turn is now taking 10 minutes because there's so much going on. You've got so much to keep an eye on. And truly engrossing. So, strategy game, very pretty. Graphics, definitely don't hold. You're going to want to go for a better version at this point. But it had this charm to it, All I can think of right now is the vampires, because when the vampires attack, they go blah.
Blah.
I loved it. I just thought it was fantastic.
That's awesome.
And just little things like that made it a lot of fun. But absolutely a great game. There was one thing about that game, though, that always perplexed me, and I'll never understand. But when the game came out, it played, if you had the CD version, it played opera music in the castles. And in the light castle, if you will, the good people's castle specifically, it played this one aria that was just, I'm not kidding, it was great. I actually have a recording of it somewhere. I found it to download because it was that great. And the reason I had to find it for download was because when they released the expansion, they added all sorts of great things. But for some reason, they changed that song. So I can only guess it was some kind of licensing dispute of some kind or
Bach
something.
rose from the grave, it said.
Just something, like you can't be singing that. But I mean, it was truly an amazing piece to me. Like and the timing on it was remarkable because it was both a strategy fighting simulator, but you also built up your castles. And for some reason, it seemed whenever you were building the ultimate good guy, they were these paladins. Whenever you're making them and getting that thing so you could finally recruit them, it seemed like the music would crescendo right as you built it. So it was just a fantastic thing that would always seem to happen, where you finally got to build that thing you always wanted, and the music's just right at its peak, and just a great game. So Heroes 2. That's my number 6.
That's okay. I played the third one, so
yeah, we gotta play that more. I'm telling you, it's a fantastic game.
So at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm done with all Commodore 64 games, but let me remind myself what my number 5 was. Oh, no, back to the Commodore 64.
I gotta try this too. I know this.
Pirates, this is specifically the Commodore 64 version. They have remade this game many times over the years. Sometimes they call it Pirates, sometimes they call it Pirates Gold. It's just not as charming.
Isn't Pirates Sid Meier?
Sid Meier. And again, it's a simple game. It actually had historically accurate time periods you can choose from on the Spanish Main. If you had an actual map, you could follow along, and it could take you a long time for you to get to one side up the peninsula. I mean, it would take you forever. And you got to worry about winds, and you got to worry about other pirates. So the whole thing, you're separated from your family. You got to go find your family. You got treasure maps. You can woo the mayor's daughter, and you can do all these little quests. And when you're done, you can retire. And when you retire, it ranks you everything from pauper to governor.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, yeah.
And I'm not sure. I maybe got governor once, but you have to find your long lost sister, your long lost parents, and they're hard to find. You gotta always fight some guy named Delgado that has a little portion of a map, and there's 4 pieces to every map, and I don't know, it's so charming. You can attack cities, towns, take over them, plunder them, collect the gold. You got to worry about food on your ships. You got to get cannons.
Sounds like a Sid Meier game to a lot of degree.
There's reefs that if you have something bigger than a sloop and you have like a galleon, you'll tear apart that boat will sink.
Okay.
So nice. you got to watch where you sail. So go Barbados, and I just like the game, and I played newer versions of the game, and they updated the graphics, but they took away the ship battles. Didn't feel as good, and you have sword battles.
It lost its charm somewhere.
Yeah, it is charm. So I don't care that the graphics are terrible.
Yeah,
it's fun. And specifically, the Commodore 64 version is the best version I ever played, and and again, they made it for DOS, they made it for Windows, but they weren't the same game.
I got you.
Yep. They changed it. Still said Sid Meier's on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They peaked.
That was it. The 64 was the
Yeah.
version.
And I remember the company producers, Microprose.
Okay, yeah, I
And
remember this.
I know. I don't know why I remember those things, but I just do. I didn't even just look that up. I just remember Microprose presents Sid Meier's
Because you remember
Spirals.
like the intro, and you looked at it
Yeah.
1,000 times every time
Yeah.
you freaking booted it.
Yeah, nice little music, and you had the cool little, music when you won or captured a town or a boat, and you can grow your fleet, which
Okay.
could be dangerous because then you're only as fast as your slowest boat. So you have to worry about that. So a lot of times you end up selling boats or.
But Sid Meier's making an empire builder, basically. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, who would have thunk it? So I don't remember what came first. I think this might have came
I
before
think this came first.
Civilization. Yeah.
I think it did.
So this was the beginning of his genius, and it was charming. And yeah, you had to aim your boat. So if you went against the wind, it was hard. And aim your boat to the other boat and try to have it from your side and shoot your cannon toward them and try to sink their ship or scare them. And eventually, you became infamous, and people raise their white flag as soon as you come near them.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
So-
I will let everyone on this show know a little secret, and
Yeah.
that is I'm not the real Dread Pirate.
Yes. I got a secret. I'm not left-handed either.
Exactly. Why are you smiling?
So yes, I love this game, and I played many hours. And when you own the game, which I did, it came with a giant map. So when you got little pieces of where buried treasure was or where your family is buried, you kind of look at this giant map and
Compare
say,
it to the map?
I think it's here. I can see that there's a town here, and there's the land, the coastline kind of looks like this. So I think it's way out here,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it was great.
So
There-
it felt like an adventure.
yeah, there's treasure fleets always went by. There's silver trains you can capture. It wasn't just a simple game. It was actually kind of complex for just an old game from I don't even know what year, but probably 1985, 86 era.
Sure.
So highly recommend this version. I
really-
I could play it right now and enjoy it.
I'm gonna have to figure it away. Yeah. Now, do you know if that's on your?
It may be. This was a popular game
That
on
makes
the
sense.
Commodore
Yeah,
64.
I've known of this game for many years. People do enjoy it. So
I do, and yeah, like the newer versions kind of look like this with slightly better graphics, but it's not worth it.
it's awesome.
Oh, and the new one, you know what they did with the new ones that I hated? When you woo the daughter by being powerful.
Okay.
In the newer versions, you have to woo the daughter by dancing with her,
Okay.
specifically exactly the right moves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm a pirate. I want a pirate.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a dancer.
You didn't want to get down to.
Yeah, they added features that really suck the fun out of the game. Is all I'm saying.
I got you.
So recommend it. Can't recommend it. Not my number 5, and that's high. It's better than Goonies.
So that's true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yes.
So we're saying yes to pirating and no to dancing.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. What's your number 5, sir?
My number 5 is none other than the Duke himself. Hail to the King, baby. That would be Duke Nukem 3D.
Oh, that's a good game.
I mean, okay, so
That does mean a lot to me. Oh, I should have had that on my list
yeah. See, it's tough. It's tough. I know.
Yes.
I know. I'm forgetting stuff.
because I had a
but,
good time with that. I used to waste my work hours with that game.
You know, Wolfenstein, Doom. Yes, they're amazing. No question about it. And they definitely were like, holy shit for the time. I'm telling you, man. I remember seeing the demo of Doom
Yeah.
like it was yesterday, and my mind was blown at how good that looked. But Duke just brought it all together. Because first of all, Duke could look up.
Yeah. Yes.
Like Duke could actually look around, full
Yeah,
range of
jetpacks.
motion. Duke had jetpacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Duke could basically have full mobility, and I mean, even my wife knows this. I've said it so many times in my life, and honestly, I've played the game so much, she's heard it said so much. But you walk into a room for the first time with a rocket launcher, you see a bunch of bad guys, you blow them all up, and the Duke busts out with your face, your ass.
What's the difference, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
just,
remember.
It's just fantastic. You're like, what did he just say?
Yeah,
and then,
that's awesome.
You know, then the Duke grows on you, and
He does.
You know, to this day, I'm such a Duke fan that I don't play the original Duke Nukems. I know he was a 2D
Yes,
side-scroller,
side-scroller.
not my jam, but I've actually played. I bought Duke Nukem Forever for
Yeah.
sure. You know, and he's now the doll. He's an action figure.
I agree with that.
And I also played a game called Bulletstorm, I think it was.
Oh.
And it was fascinating. And this is largely why I bought the game. I'm not even kidding. Because it had a DLC. And all the DLC did was replace the main character with Duke.
Oh.
And it was hysterical. because it took the main story. I actually played through the main story to know what it was first, as an actual character, but then I replaced him with Duke and played through it again. And like Duke just didn't care about the story, so he'd just be like, "Who do I need to kill?" And like one guy kept going on with story bits, and Duke would just look at him and be like, "Who are you and why are you here?" Just throughout the entire game, completely asinine. I don't know who thought of it, but it was honestly I enjoyed it a great deal. But Duke, I mean,
Yeah.
3D specifically, it's just like wow. Now we're allowed to have full mobility, a shooter.
Yeah, it's when you realize they can really improve upon something you didn't think they could improve upon because you thought Doom was it,
Exactly, yeah, and then death matches with friends were just
Yeah.
it was now a thing.
I would say Duke Nukem, which I guess it kind of doesn't mean a lot to me because my first computer job, I had this guy at work who introduced me to me, and at lunchtime and maybe long lunches, we would kill each other in Duke Nukem 3D.
It's absolutely fantastic too, isn't it?
Yeah, we spent all work day. Yeah, way before Unreal Tournament, it was Duke Nukem 3D. Was the fighting game of killing each other.
Without a doubt, and to this day,
Yeah.
it's just as much fun shooting your friend as it ever was the first time.
Time to kick it. Was it time to chew gum and kick ass, or no? Time to.
No, that's basically They Live.
Yeah, but they used that in Duke Nukem game though. One of the levels. Time to kick ass. Oh, time to kick ass and chew bubblegum. Damn, I'm all out of gum.
Oh, does he actually?
Yeah, he
reference it?
actually says
That's
that
great.
in the
Yeah.
game.
So
Yeah.
Duke says great things.
Yeah, he does say things.
And he was just wrong. Like Duke would be shooting monsters and then handing money to strippers. And
Yes.
and
You could hand them money.
Yeah,
and they
it
would,
was just great.
Yeah, it was all pixelated and stuff.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, exactly. But you all did it, and.
I remember that era. It was the first time I realized that they would reuse an engine for a game, and I remember they reused the Duke Nukem engine for a game that came out shortly after called Redneck Rampage.
Okay, yeah, I never played it, but I know of what you speak. Yeah.
Duke Nukem with rednecks.
With rednecks. Yep,
Yes.
Makes sense.
But it didn't have the verticality because you're on farms and stuff, so it didn't have. So it wasn't as fun. But it was silly as all heck, though.
I definitely beat Duke Nukem. I definitely played that game a lot. I liked that game a great deal. It was a lot of fun.
Did we buy that game again? I think we have a Duke Nukem 3D.
We
bought it,
absolutely do.
Yeah, I think we have
played
that.
that like in the last 5 years. We played Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Oh, I do highly recommend that. That's my 5.5 game. I changed the rules. I
That's
put it right in the
fantastic.
middle.
Right in the middle.
Because I
My
forgot that I
5.5.
played that for I had that job for a year, and I played it with this guy that I just met, and we just played it.
Yeah, and from a game evolution standpoint, I think Duke holds a great place. But just from a charisma kind of I love Duke. Who doesn't love Duke?
Yeah.
He's the king. So
Yeah.
it's he's got that wit to him that's absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, I can even guess what year it was because that's when I worked in Cleveland, Ohio, and that's going to be between. Well, I graduated high school in '93 with the con '94. Yeah, so it's like 95, 96 era.
Sounds
yeah,
about
yeah,
right.
Something about there.
Yep, sounds right.
Yeah.
Right where it was.
Yeah, so yeah, those are all good old days.
So we're getting down there. So what's
Yes.
number 4 for you?
Number 4. Is it a Commodore 64 game? I don't remember. No, it's Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, that's interesting.
And there's you'll know when you see my other games, you can see why it's not higher on the list. But this one, yes, this game has parts of the game that is long and too much.
Mm-hmm.
Some parts of the quests are too long. But
There's some tedium.
but the personal relationships and communications, and you're just going through the game, and they're chatting with you, and it's just it's so dynamic and fun, and it's BioWare, still during their height of being awesome, and the DLCs when you go back and you see all your friends again, and it felt so heartwarming.
I have to go back. I'm gonna have to start over.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Well, the good news is that the grinding part of it, if you cheat happens in it,
Yeah.
is unnecessary.
Sure.
Because you don't need to get up levels. You just need to go and complete some major quests because you don't need the little tedium levels.
Yeah.
So the game is worth playing all the way through to the end. I love the bad guy.
I enjoyed it actually. I'm certain I got distracted by some other game, but
It happened because this game can take a while to play.
it looked beautiful. The music was spot on. I mean, I had no complaints about it. I'll say that.
And yeah, everyone's there, and you can have relationships in it,
Yeah.
because that's what they did. Same-sex ones,
Yeah,
which
the-
I think was one of the first games that.
The girl I wanted
Did
to
that-
get it on with, I don't think you can though. I think I finally asked about it, and you just told me no, you can't, because I wanted the Spy Master chick.
Oh yeah, the Spy she's pretty awesome, yeah.
She was great.
And I like the elf, but you can't. You can only get on with her if you're a female.
I don't remember. I think I was a dude in that one, which
Yeah.
is rare for me.
Yeah, so I highly recommend playing that game as a female. And this is one of the games that I did because you said, by the way, Kevin, you should play games as females. And
I don't know. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I think I played it as a dude, and that is so rare for me that I
Yeah.
don't know
yeah.
what inspired me to do such.
Yeah, if you play it again, I would play female because
Maybe that's why I didn't finish.
because the relationship with the elf thief is hilarious. It's hilarious because her personality is just like she's all like yelling at you and all very fighty and stuff, and you're like accepting of her, and she's like, "What'd you say? I'm not used to this acceptance thing."
That's great.
And I like the relationships because it's well written.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and it's well acted. They're good voice actors in there.
yes. So yeah, so it holds a. I played the other Dragon Age. I didn't play Dragon Age 2. I played Dragon Age Origins, was also a good game. This is the third one in the series.
Okay, but we all know the dwarf is Don Johnson, right? Like,
Don
just
Johnson?
looks like Don Johnson.
Don Johnson?
Yeah.
With his chest.
Yeah, he
yeah.
looks like Dwarf Johnson, I
Yeah,
guess.
he's awesome.
Um,
So yeah, the game. But I do recommend playing the other Dragon Ages as well. They're much older though. They must have been like 10 years between each one.
okay.
But they're still good games.
All right.
But this one is just like, and yes, you can mod it to make some things less tedious. Like you throw a mod in, and you can have a relationship with everybody all at once because they get mad at you.
That's
You
fantastic.
can't. It doesn't let you cheat on people in the
You
game
can just
unless you mod it.
Love the one you're with?
Yes, I love that theory. And then like the war table, you can make it so you just instantly win whatever you click on. You don't have to wait for days, stuff like that. You just take the tedium out of the game.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I wouldn't, even though it's a game that's very personal to me, I wouldn't rank this as one of the best games ever because of all the tedium.
Gotcha.
But the game means a lot to me because it's about the characters.
Sure.
It's actually more about the characters than the gameplay. So well written. BioWare was really firing all cylinders.
And
when
you
they
had
wrote the story.
mentioned those DLCs before, too, where they put a nice bow on their story, which was...
Yeah.
It's just so nice when that actually happens, where it's like, okay, we've landed our plane.
Yes, and I like the the lore. The lore is very interesting because you learn a lot about the world that you're in, and it feels alive and real.
Yeah.
Even though it's a fantasy world, it's
But that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Is
it's
you get
pretty cool.
sucked in and yeah.
this. If they ever made it into like a cartoon TV series or something, I'd be like, oh, I'm in.
Nice.
Something. Because the characters are very interesting.
Yeah, that's one. It's definitely a time suck, but again, I have no complaints about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I didn't actually.
No,
So
but like I
I
said,
think I made it really far too.
you probably did because there's like two halves of the map, and once you get to the left-hand side of the map, you're almost done with the game.
Yeah, see, I think I did too, but I'm not gonna remember, so I'm gonna have to start all over.
Start
I don't
over.
like Fable.
Yeah.
I was trying to give Fable an honest shot, but then Mass Effect 2.
So, and you can see in my laptop here, there it is.
That's
I leave
great.
it installed. I play it every now and again. I fire it up.
That's fantastic. Okay.
So you can tell which games I like a lot by ones I have not uninstalled.
Yep.
So yeah, that's one of them. So, what is your number 4, sir?
Number 4 is none other than the devil himself, the OG Diablo,
The original Diablo.
the original Diablo.
The back when it was a horror game.
Yes, exactly why I
Yeah.
fell in love with it. That fired on every single cylinder for me at that time. It was an action RPG. Like, okay, you said RPG, great. We got some grinding elements. I'm a happy camper. Action, honestly, I take it or leave it, but I like the action RPG. I just like the whole getting levels thing. But then you throw in the horror element, and man, the butcher was not somebody that would tell you, don't eat vegetables in the past.
Yeah.
The butcher was somebody terrifying, and the lore to it was just grim, and the music was just creepy, and everything about it was just awful, and it was a great experience. Excuse me, but it definitely shows its age, but once again, good old games.
Yeah, GOG.
Yeah, seriously.
I just put my pat on my chest there. Good old GOG. Come on, man.
GOG, man, we love you.
Yeah, they remastered that, or they, I don't know.
I didn't think they remastered.
but
No, they just made it work, and
Yeah.
and then they released the Hellfire expansion.
Yeah, but
And it's like $10, and I played through it not terribly long ago.
Yeah.
Loved it. It's great.
I hear Diablo 2 is going to be out soon, so knock on wood, we'll see.
Man, there are a lot of games I'm excited about coming out soon. I'm kind of amazed by that. We got that Cyberpunk. We got, for me, the Tony Hawk 1 and 2. I'm excited about the remake of that. And Diablo 2. Diablo 2 is Duke Nukem forever. I'll believe it when I see it. And even then, I'm going to be, until it actually boots, I'm going to be skeptical.
Yeah, you can't trust Blizzard these days.
So that is your number 4, or
Number
that's my
4.
number 4, rather.
That's your number 4?
What is your number 3, my
My
friend?
number 3 is a Commodore 64. No. Number 3, not number 1. Number 3, The Last of Us on the PlayStation 3 version specifically, because that's when I first played it, not the remastered version.
Sure.
There are differences. The PS4 version is, if you're going to play it, play the remastered because it's not a crazy remaster. It just made a little bit better graphics and went from 30 frames per second to 60, which is noticeable in the games.
I bet.
When they changed the frame rate like that. And it was considered the best looking PlayStation 4 game of the time when it came out on PlayStation 4, but it was early in the console generation. And this was like one of the last games of PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
So it pulled all the power out. And the first time you play Last of Us, especially, and you know way too much now, but just imagine knowing nothing when you went playing the game. And then there's so many YouTube videos you can find the biggest, toughest grown men bawling in the first 5 minutes of the game.
It's an action drama.
It is. It's an action drama, well done. It's a cover shooter, so yes, there's bullets but you can't really call it a complete shooter. Yes, you shoot, but most of the time you're just cutting people's throats and breaking their necks, and you got zombies, and the humans are worse than the zombies, and you got cannibals, and
I agree with that.
Yeah, and the acting in it is amazing. I watched a video a few years back where they just decided to do a presentation and had the actors go up on stage and reenact scenes live from this, and you just see their voice actors, but they could be act in any TV movie ever. They're just so well done, and because somehow they get the quiver right in their voice on emotional scenes.
Oh yeah.
And it just like they feel pain.
Well, it's like audiobooks.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you listen to the right person reading an audiobook, they could read my lawnmower manual, and I'd be like, this is the greatest thing I ever listened to.
Yeah. And the thing, again, a lot of people like, Steven at work really loves, and he thinks Last of Us Part 2 is better than the first one. I disagree because I think this one had pacing and charm in it that it wasn't. The other one was just nothing but depressing, the new one.
Yeah.
This one had hopeful moments in it. It was like the best Walking Dead episode. It was well done from beginning to end. It had the ups and the downs, and it had smart scenes, very smartly written scenes, torture scenes. I know torture scene, smartly written.
Yeah.
The way they played one person against the other was genius. And I've watched playthroughs of it, not the same as playing it.
Sure. I've got it. It's telling you, man.
You gotta play
Life
it.
gets in the way.
Yeah.
It's just so many games, so little time.
This game is not super long. I could probably play in 2 sittings. Took me 3 sittings for Final Fantasy VII. This one I could probably do in 2 sittings.
Yeah, it's just for perspective. I think Final Fantasy VII took me a month.
Oh,
or something like that.
Yeah, so this is shorter than that.
Yeah, so this will take like
2 weeks. 2.5 weeks, yeah. Something like that. Great game. The game is split 2 under seasons, so you go through all 4 seasons of the game, and they all mean something. It's just really well written story.
Yeah, and it looks beautiful, I have to say. At least on PS4.
I just love it when they have like nature taking things back, because this game takes, and the fungus that attacks you in the game, they researched it, and there's videos. It's real. It exists in Africa. That this fungus attacks ants, and they immediately climb to the highest spot, and then spores grow out of them, and then they shoot it on the rest of the ants, and they all become zombies. This happens.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And of course,
I've heard about the zombie ants.
Yeah, so stuff like that's never crossed over to humans before. Oh wait a minute.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, they have.
Exactly.
So that's why this game has a part of realism, because they try to make it as realistic as possible, which makes it scarier.
I'm telling you, maybe not in our lifetime, but ants are going to be a problem one day.
Yeah.
They're organized and they don't sleep.
They don't sleep, yes.
No good is going to come of that.
No. So, yes, and such high praise. This is not my... because these are my personal favorite
Well, exactly,
games.
yeah, and that's what it asked for, yeah.
2 more I like better.
Well, me, number 3, Street Fighter 2. It's absolutely got to be.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it for the first time. I mean,
What system was that on?
Well, yeah, exactly. That was the arcade system when I first played it. I remember seeing it and saying, "What's the purpose of this game?" and I was with a buddy, and I was like, wow, the sole purpose of this game is beat the hell out of my buddy.
Yes, that does hold
And
up.
both my buddy and I, and you know, to this day, you and I would agree with this. You're like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yes. Especially when we start swearing at each other.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Mother.
It's like my sole purpose is to kick your ass. This is the greatest game I've ever played.
Yes.
And you know, Street Fighter 2 will always hold a special place in my heart because one, it was the first fighter I ever played, so hallelujah. But then second, when I had gotten a Super Nintendo, you know, dirt poor kind of thing, you know, grew up poor. But I had gotten a Super Nintendo, and at the time they sold the Super Nintendo that literally came with no game and one joystick, or one gamepad, whatever you call it. So I bought that, and I bought Street Fighter 2. And for months, actually for a few months, I didn't even have a second controller. I just had that game and one controller. Then I got the other controller.
That's why I can't play you ever.
And then, you know, could beat the shit out of my friends, but for months, the only Super Nintendo game I had was Street Fighter 2.
Jesus.
So yeah, I played a lot of Street Fighter 2.
Yes. So you grokked that game.
Yeah, that first one really beat it with everybody. Just played a lot of it, and that's why to this day, you play a fighting game. I can tell you, yeah, I've never played this before, but you know, within 10 seconds, I'm doing some weird special move that you've never seen. It's because it's all still the same kind of movements, you know.
Right.
And I learned those, so to this day, it still works.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You have muscle memory I can never have.
Yep.
Because you've been playing since you were, a toddler.
I've been Hadoukening forever, pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
Hadouken. Yep.
That is awesome.
So, boy, we're down to the top two. I'm excited here.
Oh boy.
So, you know, folks
I'm gonna be
out
just
there,
as surprised as anybody.
Yeah,
The next
I know.
two is I forget now.
Exactly. I'm thrilled to hear these. I knew what my number one was. Actually, I don't
Yeah.
know about you, but the minute we discussed this, I knew what my number one was. So,
Oh, I knew that. Actually, I wrote that down first.
Yeah, exactly what I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
as well. But again, folks, we hope you like this out there, and if you're sticking with us, we'd love to hear what you think, and you know, what are your favorite games? We'd love to. Again, that list is ever growing.
Yes. And
And,
if you had a Commodore 64, wasn't it awesome?
That's awesome. So, sorry.
For Commodore business machines, it was made for word processing. Had the most games ever.
Yeah.
That's just amazing to me.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Didn't you ever do this? I bought a laptop once, and it was going to really be for learning and education and work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll play some games, but really not my focus.
Yeah.
And then from that moment on, pretty much every computer I bought after that, I was like, who are we kidding? I'm going to be playing a shit ton of games. It's going to fuck off more than you can believe. And we're not talking Minesweeper here.
Yes. Unreal Tournament I played at work. So, yes.
So what's your number two?
My number two is... Dun, dun, dun. I should make this in the power. Uncharted 4.
Oh.
Also a Naughty Dog game. And there's several reasons why this is near and dear to my heart. I played this one before the Uncharted 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, that's funny.
Uncharted 2 is considered up there as one of the best games ever made as well, because it's one of those things that starts... there's a term for it, but it's one of those games that starts in the middle of the story.
Yeah.
You know, the game starts, you're on a train, bleeding, hanging off a cliff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This one is more of a wrap-up. It's considered their final story. Even though they created another game called Uncharted Lost Legacy, is actually with a couple different characters. This is the last one with Nathan Drake.
Okay.
And I saw the stat the other day, it says 20% of the time people play this game, they're standing there doing nothing. Because the game is the most gorgeous game I've ever played.
That's great.
I love the mountains. I love it's pirates too. There's a theme. I love pirates. And this, it's not... Tomb Raider in my opinion, takes itself way too seriously. And there's way too many puzzles.
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I love Tomb Raiders. There's a place for that. But this is for people who think Tomb Raider would be great if it was way more fun and way more funny and better set pieces. And it's just exciting to play. I recommend Uncharted 4. It wraps up the entire story. And... Like I said, Nathan Drake is a smartass.
Uncharted series, PS4 exclusive? Or is that
PS4
on
exclusive,
PC?
and I have Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 over there, remastered for the PlayStation 4.
Okay, I've got those actually. I just got those last month, I think.
It's worth playing all of them, But I think you're just fine if you just go play like Uncharted 2 and then Uncharted 4, because then you can see some of the throwbacks of the.
Yeah.
Because this is basically a wrap up, so they like talk about a lot of the first
Well,
three
you know
games.
me,
in it.
it doesn't matter what you say. I'm playing
Yeah,
one, and
play-
then I'm going to play two, and
One is actually, this is another one of those games where the difference between 1 and 2 is like Mass Effect 1 and 2. Totally different game.
Sure.
Totally different. Mass Effect 2 is like, okay, we got the mechanics down, now let's make a fun adventure.
yeah,
And that's what 2 and 3 was like, not as good as 2, but close. People consider Mass Effect 3 great too, and I loved it too. It was a great game. And then when this came out, I was like, I played this game. And then once you beat it once, they unlock cheats.
Yeah.
Unlimited ammo.
That's always
You know,
handy.
it's like any gun you want. So you can start with the biggest guns as soon as you start the game. And so I play this game just for the fun of it.
nice.
I know exactly what to do, where to go.
Yep.
They got cover, but it's the kind of game you like that you can play the game just guns blaring. Just go
Yeah.
in and just
I love that.
yeah, it has beautiful action sequences. It has the fight sequence are perfect, where you just feel good when you're punching somebody till they're down on the ground.
Nice.
And yeah, it's basically a game of murder because you're pretty much killing everybody on the way,
how
even
I
though
do.
he's a good guy.
That's how good guys do it.
That's a Madagascar, that scene there, but it just pirate ships, and you're just collecting treasure.
You had me at killing everyone.
Yeah, you kill everyone. And you drive vehicles, motorcycles, cars, and it's well done. In fact, those scenes you like. This is one of those things where a lot of vehicle scenes in games, I'm talking about you Final Fantasy VII, aren't
awesome.
that fun.
Yep.
This one are a blast. They're great set pieces. And that's what they call them, set pieces, because there's like huge things going on. And you're like, how does a person survive this? And it basically feels like you're playing an action movie.
That's awesome.
But yeah, you can die a lot in the game, especially in the beginning, but they don't really throw you back that far if you do die.
I think I have 4, but I have the first 3, so when
you
I
can
get
borrow them
through
anytime you want.
I will. Oh, well, yeah. When I get through the first 3, I'll hit you
Yeah.
up for that.
So highly recommend it. But yeah, I've taken one of those things where I stop and take screenshots because it's just. In fact, on my Facebook page, I have a screenshot of some beach scene because, face it, pirate on a beach, it's just gorgeous. The water looks real and it's just like relaxing.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, this is rated higher than The Last of Us because it's not depressing.
I like that. That's a good reason.
Yes.
Well, actually, my
Yeah.
number 2 is no one other than the OG Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, there you go.
It's just
I applaud that one.
it.
That's a good one.
It blew my mind. I mean, first of all, it's 3 CDs. That was huge. Like, wow,
Yeah.
this is something different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's why they ditched the Nintendo. They
When
wanted
you-
to be on CD.
playing the game for 8 hours, and you know, you built this party, and you got these
Yeah.
characters that you're just getting to know, and everybody's weird. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, don't get me wrong. In the remake, you already know who the characters are, so yeah, you're just meeting them, but
Yeah,
it's
I knew.
not as weird. The first time, it's, you know, it's just completely weird. Like, what in the hell? Like, in your case, you were probably thinking, what the hell did Sean recommend to me? That's
Yeah, I know.
fucking weird. But,
Yeah. Especially when you saw Red 13, I'm like, what?
what is this?
Yeah, what is this thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you play this game, and it's just so involved, and it's so long, and then you get outside. And this game that's been so gigantic and so, I mean, just such a convoluted story with so much going on, and then all of a sudden you're outside in this open world, and it just got just so much bigger than
Yeah.
you thought it was. And it's just like, holy crap, I'd never seen anything like that. And then the summons on top of it.
The summons. Yeah, you can go make a meal during those summons.
Yeah, the summons, yeah, they took forever. But the first time you saw them, you were
Yeah.
just like, wow, that's really neat. I like seeing that. But yeah, after a while, it got to be a bit tedious. But, you know, the variety of them, and it was just really cool to have these godlike characters all of a sudden. And, you know, it still had its challenges, but again, it just had those complex material systems, had so much going for it that, I don't
Yeah.
know. It was just fun. I've always found it to be a fun game for that reason. You could just kind of try different things and generally run around godlike.
Yeah, I played that game straight through. I didn't like pause and did something else. I played that right through when you recommended it. And yeah, because it hooked me.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good game. Good game.
Yeah.
So we are. Do I?
Oh, drum roll.
But before we do
Yeah.
that, you know, I would just like to say, how do our tutors contact us?
Yes. Oh, they can email us at toot@tootcast.net. You can find a bunch of links on our website at tootcast.net. You can, find us on Twitter at tootcast. please talk to us.
Yes, we'd love to hear your thoughts on our lists, and again, if you have a list of your own, we'd love to see that too.
So number one,
Yes,
and
I'm
I think
excited.
you can guess, and I
have a
cheated.
hunch.
I cheated
Okay.
on this one.
Does it begin with a mass and end with an effect? It
No.
does not. Oh, actually, you're right. I should have guessed this.
Yeah,
I should have guessed
Fallout
this.
3, specifically the Xbox 360 non-crashy version. Now, I do like the GOG versions that they finally fixed it, that Steam ruined, that you can mod the heck out of it.
Yeah.
But this is personal games. The first time I loaded this game up, the first time I saw the preview for the game, I'm like, what is this game?
Yeah.
There was 3D games out for the Xbox 360, and they look mostly like, Nintendo 64 games. Nothing really crazy, nothing really open world, besides Oblivion, and that has its own look. And, of course, same company. Then we saw the trailer where they showed the Washington Monument, and they had old-time radio on that bus that panned out.
Yeah. The music they use is just fantastic.
Set the world on fire.
Yep.
Oh my god! And then the world was on fire, and then you got Ron Perlman's voice saying "War never changes," and I'm like, I gotta play this game. And again, I didn't have money back then. I bought this game new, and I'm like, I gotta play this game. And I played it, and I played it, and I played it, and it has so much charm, interesting characters, and it rewards you for going off the beaten path. And this one, pre-modding days, you really had to go and try to get as much levels as you could.
Sure.
Because when you fought your first mutant or Deathclaw, it killed you.
Oh yeah, that
I
was
mean, you weren't
nasty.
surviving those things, So you want to be good, you want to get better weapons, and the DLCs with the alien ship and the island and
Their DLCs are they're just almost like new games. They add so much content.
Yeah, it's great. There was a place called Pittstown, one of the DLCs, and you could tell it was Pittsburgh. So they call it Pittstown because the sign was all ruined.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. There's a VR mission when you end up with awesome armor.
I pretty soon I had Fallout 3 GOG. I had to go GOG though because thank you GOG. I love Fallout 3, but I played it on Windows first time.
Oh, that's a shame.
And it crashed so much.
Yeah.
Fallout 3 was just brutal. It just crashed so much. It broke my
Unstable.
heart. But
Never crashed on the Xbox 360.
GOG version.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Thank you, Good Old Games, because that game I have it installed now. I'm not kidding, guys. In New Vegas, now you and I can't
Fallout 3's installed
articulate.
right there.
Nice. I gotta go back to New Vegas some more because New Vegas, there's something different about New Vegas.
Well, it was Obsidian Games who put it out.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just can't articulate what is something wrong there. It doesn't feel quite right to me. It doesn't seem to hook me quite like Fallout 3. I mean, you play it and at least in my case, you're immediately invested. You're like, this is just awesome on every level.
Yeah.
Fallout 4, I mean, loved it.
Yes.
And replayability.
Yeah.
Fallout 4, I've done, basically there's different factions you can help. I've helped all but one faction. Like, that means I've literally played through the entire thing, helping one faction only. Gotten to see the end with that faction. Started over again, done it with the others. There's only one I haven't gotten to yet. But it's just, they're that good, these games.
Yeah.
So, really good pick.
It was the fact that you can blow up the main town if you wanted to, change the whole outcome of the game. You could, the music too. It was this weird, otherworldly, it's like, what the heck, it was just weird. But then it had bigger music that was more traditional. But then you had, the radio DJ, and I just I don't know, so much charm. You can go in the middle of the
DJ
nowhere.
was Ron Perlman once again, wasn't it?
No, I forget who played him. No, it wasn't him.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't him. I forget who the actor who played him, and he didn't. And they were mad that he didn't come back in Fallout 4. But like this one, you can go in the middle of nowhere and you can find this poor woman in a shack that lost her violin.
Yeah, I got her violin.
But there's no quest that leads you there. You know what I'm saying?
But the end, I noticed it's how it handles the end.
Yeah.
The end is, dramatically different depending on what you did.
Yeah.
So when I finished the game, one time I saw the old lady playing her violin.
Yeah.
Because I'd helped her out.
Yeah.
Another time, it's just not there.
Just
you
not
don't even
there.
know you're missing it.
Yeah. There's a town. There's one vault that's just nothing but a guy named Dave. Just
Nice.
clones of him. There's
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there's there's like a lot more vaults that's way off the beaten path that all have his own story.
Yeah,
Of what weird experiment they're doing there.
See, I have to play both of them more because I noticed that. Yeah, you can. I was walking around. I think it was 3. I was walking around in the desert and I found one of those super mutants out of
Yeah.
nowhere, and the dude didn't attack me. Like we started talking, and then the dude came with me.
Yeah.
And you use him at the end of the game, so I guess that's the main
He helps
story.
you.
But I mean, as far as I was concerned, I was in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah. And the game is I guarantee you there's storylines I haven't found yet.
No, yeah. Just yeah. So I gotta kudos, buddy. That's a
Yeah.
great pick.
It just
Um,
it was one of the first open world games that really like, oh, do I love this?
Yeah. And again, I got to go back to New Vegas because I don't know why that one hasn't hooked me. So
I
gotta
think
go
it's
back.
the locale because it's not as interesting as DC, in my opinion.
Maybe I don't know because I mean I love Fallout 4 too, but I got to go back and see if I can either learn to learn that I love it or learn to articulate what I don't like about it.
Definitely check out the DLCs too. Old World Blues, I think it's called. That one is considered. People consider that like the best DLC for any Fallout game.
Okay, that's
So there's some really good DLCs.
Honestly, I still have plenty of play, but in 3 and 4,
Yeah.
there's DLCs in 4. I mean, the DLCs are just.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, they know how to do a DLC.
I did beat the DLCs in all of them, but DLCs in Fallout 4. Yeah, they had a good one with the Nuka world. That was actually pretty cool.
I don't think I went to that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, but they're so robust. There's a lot to them, and
Yeah. So yeah, I can't say enough about Fallout 3 Xbox 360. But if you don't have an Xbox 360, GOG. It's the only way you can get it and not crash.
yeah, seriously, it's not worth trying. Otherwise, yeah, I would strongly recommend you don't buy it anywhere other than GOG if you're going to get it because it was brutal playing the first time. It drove me crazy because it would hang so many times, and sometimes you'd like get it back
Yeah.
and you'd be able to play for a couple hours and be fine. And then other times you'd load it up and it would crash immediately.
Well, for multiple playthroughs, there's a mod that I put in to make the graphics look a little more modern, but you don't care about that. But you should look at the mod that does the skip, because how many times you need to play the intro where you're a child.
Agreed. Yeah. No, I agree.
So I love modders, man. You do skip, you start the game, you're immediately outside the vault.
Yep. I love
That's
that.
where you start.
Yep. That makes sense.
That's awesome. So that's my number one. What is your number one, Sean DeLuca?
My number one again. It's a personalized list here, but I gotta go with Civilization 2. believe it or
Oh,
not.
you like the slow games?
That game? Yeah, turn-based. Yeah, I do. I do like the turn. I like to think. I like to.
Yes.
I like to strategize actually. So, it's if you never played a Civilization game, my advice is just go get one.
Yeah.
I like everything about the way they do it too. I'm probably going to get the ratio wrong, but they do something like a 70-30 rule is what Civ they have between Civ games, and it's 70% has to be new and 30% has to be familiar, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're getting a new game, but you're getting that familiarity as well. But basically, you're taking mankind, you're taking your tribe from more or less the Stone Age, right on through. I typically do a space race, and that basically means the first one to launch a rocket to, Alpha Centauri, whatever the next place is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't even know it's Alpha Centauri because that was literally the next game in it. It's the next game in the series. They did Alpha Centauri, which was basically the sequel, if you will, to Civ, in the sense that you started as that rocket,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
and then you landed on a star and you built up your civilization again. But I literally own every Civ game. Well, I don't actually. No, I take that back. I don't have the first one, and I don't have a working copy of Civ 2, and I would love one with the original videos. Good old games. If you somehow hear this, I've actually made a request for Good Old Games.
Yeah.
That's how much I want Civ 2. It's just, I love building the empire. I love connecting the roads between my cities. What I don't like is the rest of the world. So I'm still me. Nothing's changed. But Civilization series, the reason I don't like them is people are mean. Everyone's mean, it seems. There's a weird bug in one of the Civs. I think it might be Civ 2 that started it. That to this day, all the civilizations, to my knowledge, I think it's every one of them, they just embrace this bug because it's so funny.
But for some reason, basically when you pick a civilization, you know, if I pick America, it might be Abe Lincoln, might be who I am. I'm going to be a leader, a well-known leader of some kind, or a prominent figure from that nation. And if you pick India, you would be Gandhi. And what made it interesting is if you played the game long enough to where everybody had developed nuclear weapons, Gandhi would go on a killing spree and nuke pretty much everybody. And I don't know what the reason was, but when they discovered the bug, instead of correcting Gandhi's behavior, I mean, let's face it, it's pretty ironic.
Yeah.
To this day, if you play the game and you get to nuclear weapons and Gandhi's in the game, he will start nuking everyone.
Jeez.
Go
Go with God. I know.
But what I love most about the game, though, is, and it's really any one of them, but Civ 2, I think I mentioned it before, you could research fundamentalism. You could have a government that was mostly religious, and at which point managing your people, like your people get pissed at you. Like I said, everybody's mean, and generally your people hate you, they're pissed. Fundamentalism changed all that, you're suddenly great, all your problems go away. But taking mankind from Stone Age to modern day, I couldn't tell you how many times I've done that playing these games. It's a fun experience.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're not doing our second list.
Are you sure we're out of time?
Yeah, I did say the shows last as long as they last, and today they last an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
So,
I think this is a record.
it is. This is our longest episode, guys, so we will get back to our second list, but it certainly won't be on this one. So with that being said, I'm Sean.
I'm Kevin.
That's the one other thing.
Good night.